So I guess I'm doing an episode today. Yeah, I guess I am. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a wonderful episode of this show where I talk to you. Today I'm going to talk about what I see as the biggest issue with indie games across the board. Now, I'm not saying that there's a problem with indie games in the sense that they're bad for the game industry, in the sense that they're bad games, or the sense that they're cop-outs. I'm talking about it in that what's going to happen next year, 2 years, 3 years down the line. Because eventually this indie game bubble is going to burst. Eventually people are going to get so tired of AAA games that they're just going to keep buying indie games. But eventually people are going to find a point where indie games just don't suit them enough. For whatever reason, there just isn't something that an indie game can do that you can get from a AAA. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't good indie games that deliver quality on the level of a AAA. There are games that in some areas deliver more quality than AAA. But I say this is a problem because if more people start leaving companies, whichever company it is, to form little 10-person teams, and they release a $5 or a $10 or a $20 game on Steam, or going through Greenlight, or Gamersgate, or Good Old Games, or something, eventually people are going to miss the AAA lifestyle. I know it sounds weird because you're sitting there going, I hate AAA games, I only play indie games. But aren't there still some games, some really big games that you still want to play? I'm not saying that to be a dick. I'm saying that because it's true. As much as I love some of the indie games that I play a lot, like Terraria and Faster Than Light, it's impossible to deny that there are still some huge games that I love playing. I love playing Borderlands. They just released the Necromancer for it early, which was great. That's awesome. That's how you keep people engaged in your big game. Is you give them something new that you promise to give them, but you give it to them earlier. That is so slick. Good job, Gearbox. And I mean, with AAA's, Mass Effect 3 just had a huge content drop, about a third of a gig with a lot of stuff in it for free. Kind of hard to beat that. Granted, there have also been like Terraria's 1.1 patch, which was basically they added a second game. So good on you, Relogic. But when I say that you're gonna miss it, it's that indie games typically are created in the style of how Doom was made. If you've never played Doom, that was a game that was very much a labor of love, created by a couple of guys over the span of a couple of months, about a year and a half or something. I can't remember off the top of my head. I have a book somewhere I should probably read in regards to it. But they created this game that was inspired by what they loved doing, inspired by the music that they loved, inspired by the movies that they watched. And that was like the indie game in that sense. Because it was like 8 people when they made Doom. I'm looking at my desktop right now, and I can see Faster Than Light, which was made by 2 dudes and a musician, but was also funded by Kickstarter. So let's not talk about that. And then I can also look and see Minecraft, which is undeniably the flagship of indie games. If any indie game maker denies that if it was not for Minecraft, they would not be as successful as they are now, they are stupid. Notch set the bar in terms of spreading your game by using YouTube. So it's always tough to knock something that you love. And I love indie developers that really put an effort forth and create something genuinely good. There are plenty of good indie games. I can remember the days when I loved to go to a website and play games like Thing by Disease Productions. God, that was probably one of the best online game studios out there. I wonder what they're doing now. Probably should find that out. And those games, you could tell that they put time into it because of the little things that you could do with such a simple medium as the online system that they used. But I can look at a game like Faster Than Light, and that game is a very diverse but very simple game. Yet there's a lot of complex inner workings to a very simple system. But there are a lot of, indie platformers. God. The next time I go on YouTube is a new indie platformer. Great. You've already gotten tired of it. You've already sat there going, I'm tired of indie platformers. I'm tired of indie building games. Where's the indie FPS? Where's the indie RTS? And I think unless indie developers manage to break out of this mold of indie platformer, Minecraft alike, as soon as that happens, then indie games will find their place and permanently stay here. But if not, they might not be that long for this world. I'm sorry to admit it. I mean, there are some great indie games out there. But if indie games aren't willing to really push themselves to develop new games like we've been counting on them to do, sorry guys, but you're going to get left in the dust. I don't want to admit it, but I'm admitting it. That's how it goes sometimes. So yeah, that's an episode. It's kind of how it works sometimes. It's a little bit depressing, but there's always hope. Just make sure that you pick the right hope. But that is all. I shall see you all later.